Greetings to you. I am Wali Muhammad, host of this podcast, A Respect for Life. I am so honored and I give God praise and thanks for your presence with us today and the privilege of your attention. I will not be long at all. There are really just a few points that I want to make to you. Again, I thank you so very much for being with us on this show today. And before I go any further, I want to thank our executive producer, Brother Curtis F. Muhammad. And I also want to thank our technical director, Brother James Muhammad. Without them, there would be no A Respect for Life podcast. Now, I want to get down to cases. Number one thought that I have on my mind. In the just concluded, put that word in quotation marks, conflict between the United States, Israel, and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Something came to mind to me, and I just want to raise a couple of questions regarding that conflict. Have you found it strange that there have been no talks, interviews, even commentary on the amount of loss of life, injuries, and military installations that America has suffered as a result of this conflict? By the way, where is the man that has infidel on his arm in Arabic? I haven't seen that fella lately. Have you? Why has there been appears to be a complete news blackout? Even the most trustworthy independent news sources, i.e. Tucker Carlson, i.e. Candace Owens, Ryan Mata. I notice none of them have raised a question on the amount of casualties and damage that America has suffered in our conflict with the Islamic Republic of Iran. I haven't read any attempt to measure the damage, the harm, the injury. I even heard that those next of kin who have been notified of the loss of their loved one have been instructed not to say a word. I find that so interesting. So while Mr. Trump has been posturing that we won, it just is so interesting to me that no true account has been given to the American people. I find that so strange. Which leads me into the next line of thinking. Again, I'm not going to be long at all. As young people be saying, life be lifing. And we just don't have the time to mull around and chit chat and discuss things that may be of no consequence. We just can't do that. However, we can raise some questions and then cause you, the viewer, to go and ponder for yourself. Really, the day of just standing up and talking and talking and talking is over with. It's over. We should be able to get it in a few minutes. And let me tell you something. If you can't take it and use it, then it's an exercise of futility, otherwise known by the word vanity. Vanity comes from the word vain. It means something empty, futile, and worthless. To sit up and listen and listen and listen, and you can't do anything with what you hear, is an exercise in futility, pardon me. And we got to get away from that. So the next line of thought that I have is this. If America refuses to even inform her own citizens of the scope of the harm and injury and damage that she suffered during this conflict with the Islamic Republic of Iran, do you actually believe that she will tell you the truth about anything? I mean, think about it. Do you actually believe that you can turn on your news and get the truth about anything? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us from his teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that this is a people who, even if their destruction is in their door, they will not tell you and I. Think about that. Just think about that. So, who do you trust? Who do you listen to that you can trust and have confidence in what you hear or what you read? I know someone, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you don't hear his messages, you can always subscribe to the Final Call newspaper. It is the official organ of the Nation of Islam, and he is the publisher. You can trust him, and you can trust the news that he gives you. Now, next point. And yes, you can see my background there. I want to close out our little talk today on the looming student loan debt collection crisis. And I even spoke to a well-known congressman. And I don't know if he was being genuine with me. I would love to believe that. But he told me he was unaware of what was about to go down on the 1st of July. That's coming up. I want to return to a man whose Substack I enjoy reading, one Mark A. Shyrock. I referenced him a few weeks ago on the show as he was giving a picture, mathematically, logically, data sourced on why America is about to go into a tailspin, at the root of which is the Strait of Hormuz being shut down. Did you know that at the root of the settlement, put that again in quotes, between America and Iran, is that at the G7 conference, the president of the United States of America admitted to the top economic Western nations these words, and I'm going to quote them. We stop for a moment. I want emphasis on this. These are the words of the President of the United States of America, and they did not merit hardly a blimp in mainstream news. Why? And again, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the teacher of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in one of his monumental writings that he called The Fall of America, he made a very profound, divinely guided, insightful statement. He said, hiding the truth brings about loss of love, trust, and confidence. Oh, America, you have no idea what you are doing by hiding the truth from your own citizens. You really don't have any idea what is building up in your own citizens that you yourself are producing. Nobody reported the words but a few, and they didn't give it any meat, any emphasis at all. But listen to the words of Mr. Trump speaking to the top nations of Western civilization. Mr. Trump said, quote, we ran out, we run out of reserves at about 4 weeks. He said, you know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see Bedlam. Closed quotation. This is the president of the United States of America speaking to his fellow white Western government leaders. He's telling them, listen, we're running out of reserves. Why did he tell him that? What is the context? He was explaining to his fellow brethren why he all but surrendered to the Islamic Republic of Iran. He was explaining this to them, why he had to make the deal. But you didn't know, beloved, you didn't know that perhaps it is alleged. Now, I'm not in the room, so I don't know. It is alleged that Iran, with the backing of Russia and China, have maneuvered America to make the deal. How is that so? Just a few days ago, Russia announced that it would sell its oil, which is plentiful, that Russia would sell its oil and you can only pay for it with the Chinese yuan. Whoa. Could this be a maneuver between Russia, China, and Iran to complete the destruction of the petrodollar, the basis of the hegemony of the United States of America? Could it be? Because they have been very silent. Haven't seen much from Mr. Rubio. Certainly have not seen Mr. Hegseth. Haven't seen too much, really, of any of them. As they say, things that make you say, hmm. Now listen, back to Mr. Chirac. I want to talk about what they're not telling you in the news and why you should look more for people who have a point of reference to understand today's current events. Well, who is that? That is, or those are, the followers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who are current in their studies, who are current and diligent in their observation and analysis of current events under the guidance of a man who have withstood the assault of a certain members of the Jewish community for 40 years. He is in fact and in truth the last man standing. No leadership among us anymore. The great Reverend Jackson is gone. The brother that they manifested as wearing a wire on behalf of the government of America, you don't hear a mumbling peep out of him anymore. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan delivered a message way back in 1984. The date was March 11th. The title of that message, though it has been perverted, the original title was Islam Comes After All Else Fails. Islam, entire submission to the will of Almighty God Allah. That is the only thing that is being accepted today. And so there are many who are falling away, many getting weak, many getting confused. But there are some who are growing in strength in the darkness, whose view of the man of God is not dimmed by those turning away. They are holding on to the handle that will never let go. Those people you can trust and use as a building block for your analysis of current events. Well, why are current events so important? Why must we look at what's happening overseas? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said these words, and I posted them on my Facebook page, Wali Muhammad. I don't have a other name. He said these words: study what you see happening in distant places, for soon the same shall be at your door. I'm going to get to that in a minute and why this book behind me is so vitally important. Let's go back to Mr. Shyrock for a minute because he lays a very interesting analysis about the ongoing oil shortage. Now listen. Mr. Shyrock says this, and I'm now quoting him. The numbers have not changed. U.S. distillate inventories were at a 2005 low on May 1st. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve was down to 392.7 million barrels and falling. The last Middle East tanker to reach American shores, the New Corolla, carrying 2 million barrels of Iraqi crude, landed February 24th. It docked at Long Beach, it left February 24th and docked at Long Beach on May 3rd and was empty. That, Mr. Shyrock says, was 7 weeks ago. There have been no meaningful replacement supply sense. Stop. I want to repeat that. Because while you're out partying and boogieing and spending money on stupid things, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I'm trying to grab you and shake you and say, listen, brother, listen, sister, something is going down. And the man who refuses to tell you the truth, you're trusting him to tell you that you better hurry and prepare. No wonder the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote, for this sad loss of my poor suffering people, I write what I write with the hope that you will take the truth and make it so plain that a fool can't miss it. He was speaking about the prophecy of 144,000 of his people making it out of nearly 60 million people. Think over that. Mr. Shyrock goes on, he says, Spirit Airlines ceased all operations on May 2nd, the first carrier to fall, citing roughly $100 million in additional fuel costs across March and April alone. Approximately 17,000 people lost their jobs. Lufthansa canceled 20,000 flights. Air Asia X raised fares 40%. The aviation collapse I tracked in May is already in the historical record. I want to get down to where he talks about the food and why, when you go to the grocery store now, things are there one week and the next week they are not. That is not just a mere occurrence. Listen, Mr. Shyrock cites going to the grocery store to pick out your favorite item and it's not on the shelf. And then you go the next week and it's on the shelf. But the consistency that we got so used to is not there anymore. Just this week, the news reported, and you can say that in quotes, that tomatoes were going sky high through the roof. What is going on? Do you think, dear viewer, that the food shortages are based on Mother Nature, as you call her, but really God Almighty? Do you think that the sun has lost its ability to draw a seed up from the earth and make it swell and burst and germinate and grow? Has the rain stopped? No. The shortage that you're beginning to get schisms of, signs of, has nothing to do with the productivity of the farms, except for the interruption of the flow of tankers from the Strait of Hormuz literally cut 40% in some instances the fertilizer that is used to grow the food. But there's another factor that perhaps you're not considering. And that factor is, how do we get the produce to the market? How do we get the produce to the store? The conflict between America, Israel, and Iraq set in motion a series of events that are literally irreversible. And because they refuse to tell you the truth, of the severity of the situation regarding food and the basis of it being diesel fuel and good old engine oil. Without any engine oil, diesels don't run. Them big tractor trailers don't run. In fact, I cited Mr. Shyrock a few issues ago where he said that some AutoZone store managers had got a uh, secret email instructing them on how to handle the shortage of oil when the people come for oil and they can't find any. So I say to you, where do we flee? Who do we trust? Even the most popular talking heads are really just scratching the surface because they have a job too. Remember, Mr. Netanyahu, I believe it was last year, he talked about waging war in the media, the propaganda war, and specifically the war in social media. And now, mostly Jewish philanthropists and those sympathizing with them have taken over social media. Which leads me to my last thought. This back here behind me is a cover of a book that we compiled with the transcripts of our podcast featuring the great and renowned scholar and scientist and really credit and debt management expert, pardon me, Dr. Michael C. Grayson. We were fortunate to have him on the show for 2 weeks in a row, where he laid out in great, profound clarity and detail the coming student loan debt collection crisis. Now, I know on social media today you got scruffy looking lawyers and you got somebody talking about they're the student loan judge, and you got all these people on social media. But let me tell you something. Don't you ever think that the people who own social media are going to allow a message to get through to you that will help you to avert yourself from the change that they're implementing beginning July 1st. Don't you believe that? Don't you think that TikTok, Facebook, X, don't you think that they're going to allow real expert advice and opinion and guidance to prevail? They want you to subscribe to fantastic foolishness. They want you to think that a 1 minute TikTok video will solve your problems. As my brother, Dr. Michael Grayson said, he said, they're coming for you. One of the vehicles that they're going to use is zombie debt. Dr. Grayson explained without any ambiguity that zombie debt is when a debt has disappeared from your credit file. TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. And though you sign mom, though you sign dad to make sure that your baby or your child was able to go to college, which says again that our community is going to be disproportionately affected by the changes being implemented July 1st. We were always taught, going all the way back to grandma and big grandma. Go to school, baby, get you an education so you can get you a good job. And good jobs were difficult unless you had some measure of degree. So along came Mr. Obama. He said, well, I'm going to help them get more in debt. I'm going to help them have access to higher quality education. Let's open up the student loan process. Let's make the repayment of student loan debt easy. Juxtapose that now with Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, though he is tightening the reins on the repayment programs, some of them you won't be able to qualify for after the 1st of July. But there's another aspect that I haven't heard Sister Doctor, Judge, Scruffy Attorney, and others talk about. And that is the deployment of the United States Department of Treasury under the leadership of Secretary Scott Bessent, the man I saw a few days ago with the most heinous smirk talk about the financial and economic warfare that this country waged on the Republic of Iran. Well, again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, study what you see happening in distant places, for soon the same shall be at your door. Those tactics that were deployed against the Islamic Republic of Iran, they now are being deployed among the citizens of this nation. Invoking the Department of Treasury, what does that mean? The Treasury has access to every non-cash transaction that you have ever made. You know, your Social Security number is tied to all transactions. And if you happen to be a business owner, your EIN number. But the Treasury Department has access to that. Which begs the question, what exactly was Mr. Mr. Elon Musk and the Department of Doge, what exactly were they doing? Because Mr. Trump said that he wanted to clean out the swamp. He wanted to get rid of the fraud and the waste. He was draining the swamp. Well, I didn't see any prosecutions. I didn't hear any arrests. I didn't hear any firings. The thing that I heard was that almost 300,000 black women directly or indirectly lost their jobs, most of them federal workers. So what exactly did he do? And was that the alley-oop now that Mr. Bessent has? And what does that have to do with zombie debt? On my Facebook page, I redacted out a letter from a client of ours, from a student loan debt servicer, where the letter says that her account is now being turned over to some group called the Default Resolution Group. Who is that? Keep in mind, as Dr. Grayson pointed out on our podcast, that when the Treasury Department is involved, they are involved and deployed for one reason and one reason alone: They're not there to service your debt. There ain't no repayment opportunity. The Treasury Department, their great skill is collections. They have been instructed to deploy every machination at their disposal to collect $1.7 trillion accrued of debt by nearly 43 million people, with the average student loan debt holder owing nearly a little bit over, $39,000. As my brother said, they coming to get their money. So they intend to garnish your wages up to 25%. They intend to do what? They intend to, the word they use in this collection letter is offset any and all payment you receive from the federal government. Well, what is that? That's your Social Security. But I need it to pay my rent and my bills. That is your VA disability benefit. That very well may be your pension. Every benefit, including unemployment. And if you get cash benefits for SNAP, they intend to take that, and the word they use was offset. It sounds so nice. What's an offset? Nobody takes the time to purge or parse these words. Offset means it's headed in one direction, but like a train gets on another track, they're going to switch the direction. And it's coming to them. And as my brother pointed out, he said, you say, well, I owe 20 grand, no problem. They take the house, take the 20 grand and give me back the 780. He said, what country do you live in? When they take or seize your home, that's it. We have to understand that there is a calamity about to happen in our community, the communities of our brown family, and the community of the poor of this nation. The tactics, strategies, and maneuvers that America made overseas are now coming home. And this is why we produce this little book. TikTok is not going to solve a $40,000 problem. I'm sorry. A Facebook post is not going to solve it. A X post is not going to solve it. You need step-by-step guidance and instruction from a man that has been recognized as the world's leading credit expert. Why? Because he has made more millionaires through the use of credit and its ability to gain you access to capital than anybody else. TikTok won't do that. Sorry, Pookie, Nem, Shanae, Ubiqua, Thomas Rasnewski. You're not going to help people with a TikTok video. You can excite them. You can give them hope. But at the end of the day, what you offer on social media in its brevity is like a man struggling to crawl through sand. And in his delusional thinking, he believes that he sees an oasis. He sees in the distance palm trees, pomegranate, and fresh, cool water to drink. So he summons all his might, all his energy to crawl to what he perceives as an oasis. But when he gets there and he reaches down into what he thought was a cool pool of water, he is rewarded with hot burning sand on his tongue. That's what you offer. juxtaposed to that, we have compiled a little how-to guide that will actually take you step by step to resolve your student loan debt problem. But you have to hurry because July 1st, they're coming for you. And Dr. Grayson said this as I prepare to close, that by sending out these default student loan letters, he likened it to a warning shot across the bow. You know, John Paul Jones in great Navy folklore developed that. And it meant in those days that when I fire a shot across your bow, I intend to board your ship and take over. So the student loan debt collection letters that many of you are beginning to receive, it means just that. They're coming for your assets and they intend to take what you owe and pay off the debt. So I leave you with our website. You'll find it wherever this video will be viewed. It simply is www.arespectforlife.org. www. all one word, lowercase, ARESPECTFORLIFE.org. That will take you right to where you can download the book. Well, if you're trying to help people, why don't you make it free? Why I got to pay some money for it? Let me tell you what I've told people who I've had some measure of sway in their development. If you present something of value to a people who don't even have a healthy self-respect, then if you give something of value to a people that don't respect themselves and you give it for free, do you know what they're going to do with that? At the least, they won't pay it any attention. At the most, they will discard it. So anything of value has a price attached to it. The price is not steep. No, this is not $69.99 or $49.99 or even $29.99. The price is a mere $19.95. You can go to that website, download your copy, and find the guide section. What do I do now? How do I do this? Not a TikTok video, not a social media post, but an actual guide with expert analysis and real guidance from Dr. Michael C. Grayson, provided by yours truly. Visit us again at www.arespectforlife.org. If you have a question, do not hesitate to call this podcast. Our number is area code 855-817-9907. Again, 855-817-9907. Call us. We're going to do all that we can to help you. And be aware of the growing social media bombardment regarding this issue that will be a genuine crisis. Be aware, because I believe, as best I know, we are the only ones that actually have a modestly priced book or manual that will take you step by step to help you to resolve the student loan debt crisis that you may very well, very soon be snared in. May Almighty God grant to each of you his light of understanding as I greet you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you.